So remember back when we talked about logic, we talked about conditional statements and their converses. Remember, if a conditional statement is if A, then B, the converse flips the if and then parts. So the converse would be if B, then A. Remember, we also saw that just because a conditional statement is true, that doesn't necessarily mean that the converse is true as well. Well, the converse of the Pythagorean theorem is a happy exception where the converse is also true. And that's nice because where the Pythagorean theorem tells us about a relationship that has to exist if a triangle is a right triangle, the converse goes the other way around. The converse says if A, B, and C are the sides of a triangle and they happen to fit into that equation, then the triangle we're looking at is a right triangle. So this is going to give us a tool that we can use to look at a triangle and tell what kind it is. Tell if it fits into the right triangle category or if it doesn't. So we've got an example here for us to look at. We've got this triangle in the diagram. And the question here is it a right triangle? Well, to check this, I have to see if I can fit it into that a squared plus b squared equals c squared equation. First step in making that happen is figuring out who gets to be a, b, and c. Now, in a right triangle, the longest side is always the hypotenuse. So if this is going to be a right triangle, then the 11-inch side is the one that's going to have to be C because it's the biggest. And that leaves the other two to be A and B. And just when we're talking about the Pythagorean theorem, which one gets to be A, which one gets to be B, doesn't matter. Now let's do the calculation here and see what happens. A squared plus B squared is 4 squared plus 7 squared. That's 16 plus 49, which is 65. All right, now let's do the C part. C squared is 11 squared, which is 121. So these two are not equal, which means this is not a right triangle. So now we have two new tools in our toolbox, both the Pythagorean theorem and its converse. So in the next lecture, we're going to look at some specific examples, see how we can use these two tools to answer some questions about triangles.